Welcome back, Mr. Disney.
Disney, get it together.
Put me back in.
Oh boy, if you thought the Rachel Zegler versus Disney drama couldn't possibly get any messier, well, welcome to the DEI special, baby. Because apparently South Park just poured gasoline on this already flaming trash fire and set the whole castle ablaze. And Snow White? Yeah, she's somewhere in the corner screaming about how the prince is a stalker while the dwarfs are unionizing. And poor Rachel? She's probably somewhere rage-watching the South Park parody in her kitchen, stabbing a Dopey plush with a spork from the Disney cafeteria. So in case you've been blissfully unaware and living under a rock, or better yet, under a pile of old VHS tapes of classic Disney films, let me bring you up to speed.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks.
We all know Rachel Zegler was cast as Snow White in Disney's 2025 remake. Great actress, beautiful voice, known for making musical theater TikToks and occasionally roasting the 1937 original Snow White like it owes her money. Her quote that went viral? "It's not 1937 anymore. Snow White isn't dreaming about love, she's dreaming about leadership." Leadership where? City Council? The Enchanted Forest HOA? Now, before this remake even had a proper trailer, people were already roasting it harder than Gaston's rotisserie chicken. Fans of the original weren't exactly thrilled that Rachel kept publicly dragging it like it was an ex-boyfriend who ghosted her. She called the prince a stalker, said the OG Snow White was passive, claimed this new Snow White doesn't need saving, which, okay, go off, girlboss, but maybe don't diss the movie that made Disney.
They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movie.
And that's where the spiral began. Cue Gal Gadot side-eyeing Rachel on stage like she was moments away from pulling a Regina George. Suddenly, behind-the-scenes whispers of drama turned into full-blown "no one is speaking to each other on set" vibes. You could practically hear the evil queen hissing, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the messiest of them all?" And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, boom! South Park drops their latest satire bomb, the DEI special, a follow-up to the infamous Panderverse episode, and oh my sparkly poisoned apple, it was savage. They didn't just roast Snow White 2025, they nuked it from orbit and used the ashes to fuel a flaming scroll labeled cancel culture. And yes, they parodied Rachel Zegler brutally. She was shown shrieking about diversity, berating Disney execs, and taking all the focus off the evil queen because she wasn't intersectional enough. This parody was so close to Rachel's actual public statements, it felt like Trey Parker and Matt Stone were secretly hanging out in her group chat. Now, Rachel reportedly lost it. Sources say she was furious, blindsided, and demanded Disney do something, anything to defend her honor. But guess what? Disney, already drowning in a sea of underperforming Marvel projects, failed Star Wars spin-offs, and Bob Iger trying to unimplode the company with the power of spreadsheets, basically said, "You're on your own, sweetie." Corporate silence, no response, not a peep. Just Mickey Mouse looking nervously at his lawyer like, do we sue a cartoon mouse or...
Before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic, have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of vulnerability study, opposition research?
And remember, this is all happening while Disney is still reshooting parts of Snow White because apparently they realized audiences didn't want a musical lecture on the patriarchy sandwiched between forest creatures and glass coffins. Leaks say entire sequences were rewritten. Gal Gadot scenes allegedly toned down. Musical numbers scrapped. Promotional events for Rachel? Cancelled. SNL? Nixed. Late night shows? Ghosted. Girl was scheduled to dance with Jimmy Fallon and instead got told to stay home and water the poisoned apple tree. And then there's Rachel's cryptic social media posts. Oh, the subtlety. The Instagram story that read, "The loudest voices often have the smallest minds," followed by a close-up of her mug that definitely looked like she was about to throw hands with a Pixar lamp. People were like, okay, are you shading South Park, Disney, Gal Gadot, or the entire state of Florida? Answer? Yes. And let's not forget the Gal Gadot drama. Rumors had been bubbling for months that the two weren't vibing. They'd show up to press events avoiding eye contact like two girls who just found out they're dating the same Tinder guy. Allegedly, Rachel got upset that Gal improvised some killer lines as the evil queen and started stealing scenes. Meanwhile, Gall stayed silent, smiled through the chaos, and probably went home to drink wine and rewatch Wonder Woman like couldn't be me. Fans were so invested in the mess, they started calling this movie It Ends with Snow, because the chaos just keeps escalating. People began noticing how Disney's once airtight PR machine was now leaking worse than Ariel's wig in a monsoon. And where was Bob Iger in all this? Holding emergency meetings like he was trying to reboot the multiverse with HR memos? Apparently, he and the board were meeting daily, trying to figure out how to salvage Snow White without pissing off the few remaining people who still liked Disney's remakes. And then came the rumors of a lawsuit. Yep, apparently Rachel Zegler's team considered legal action over the canceled promotional events. Word on the street was that her contract guaranteed appearances, and Disney ghosting her could be a violation. Like, imagine suing Disney while still technically starring in their movie. Wild. That's like showing up to your own wedding and suing the groom for not complimenting your dress. Meanwhile, South Park was out here doubling down, teasing even more content in the DEI special that continues to roast Hollywood's obsession with progressive optics without substance. So basically, Snow White got dunked on, Rachel got dunked on, Disney got dunked on, and the only winner here? The internet. Twitter memes went feral. YouTube edits of Rachel Zegler's real interviews side by side with the South Park version? Trending. People were sharing clips of Rachel saying he stalked her, followed by cartoon Rachel screaming, "The prince is a colonizer." And to be fair, there were people who defended Rachel, said she was unfairly targeted, a young actress caught in the crossfire of corporate mismanagement and public overreaction, which, okay, fair, but also, maybe don't drag a film that literally built the foundation of your job. Like, imagine working at a bakery and telling everyone bread is stupid.
Snow White, Rachel Zegler.
Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age.
Oh, Rachel, you have to be feeling a little bit sorry for yourself. As a rising star who had previously appeared in West Side Story, she entered this as someone who was prepared to head a new generation of Disney princesses. And what about now? On Comedy Central, she's being dragged by cartoon versions of herself, and she has been memed into oblivion thanks to the internet. Give Elsa a call, please. It would be nice to see a crossover between Frozen and something else. So, here we are. The princess who does not have a kingdom, a studio that is experiencing difficulties, a co-star who's like, don't drag me into this, and a cartoon that may have just put the final nail in the coffin of the poisoned apple would be a perfect combination. Will the film be able to move on? When will Rachel get better? Are there any plans for Disney to quit producing live-action remakes? Please, we beg.